Scott, Frankie Diaz-Lopez, and Miranda Shamlin. The following suspects are still at large this morning: Kristen Davenport, Tracy Klon, Patty Vance, and Larry Tussler. If you have any information about their whereabouts, call 911 or Council Bluffs Crime Stoppers. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on First Alert 6 Streaming this Thursday morning. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. I feel like the past couple of days, your job's been pretty consistent as far as the heat and the humidity. More of that today.
Yeah, just trying to figure out how high into the 90s we're going to go each day. And today it looks pretty similar to yesterday. Beautiful sunrise out there, a little bit of humidity, but less than yesterday morning. So that's good news. 69 degrees, dew point is 65. So right now that puts that right there in the middle of the muggy range. And you got quite a bit of sunshine expected today. Just some fair weather clouds on the satellite and radar. And the muggy meter lower than yesterday. Yesterday we were up here. Today we're dropping down a little bit there in the middle of the muggy range. So for today, we may bounce around a little bit in the muggy range, but still, that's good. Better than the steamy and a little bit more enjoyable outside. So a lot of 60s on the map right now. 70 in Elkhorn, one of the outliers, but overall 60s to start today, and then we should get a chance to climb a lot of 60s once you get outside the city limits. A little less impact from urban heat island effect there. And by 9 o'clock, we should be in the 70s. If there is any fog out there by 9, it should burn off quickly. That's what the gray is on the map, probably a little overdone. By noon, we're in the 80s, and by 3 o'clock, I think we're up to about 90 or so. Topping out at 91 today for the afternoon high. By 5, 6, 7 o'clock, we're gradually cooling off from there, and a pretty quiet night on the way. If there are any fair weather clouds, those should fizzle with the setting sun. And then heading into the early part of the day tomorrow, you'll notice pretty quiet conditions, some clouds trying to stream in from the northwest. And then that'll set the stage for what could be a couple of storms by Friday evening. We pushed back the start time a little bit. Yesterday, it looked like after 3 o'clock. Today, we're talking probably after 5 for any storms by Friday evening. Wind and hail risk at 1 out of 5. This hasn't changed really. 1 out of 5 on the scale for severe weather potential. And we're watching the wind and the hail threat there, both in the green. Tornado threat still looks pretty low right now and not too much to worry about. So 91 today. We should surge to about 93 for the high on Friday before any storms start to develop. Again, spotty coverage, but there could be a couple of stronger ones. And then cooling down to 82 on Saturday. That's looking pretty good there to start off our weekend.
All right, speaking of that cool down, how are we looking? How long is it going to last?
It does look like it's got a little longevity to it, at least into the middle of the week, which is great news. And you can see that here with the dew point forecast. The darker greens, the more humid air that we have. That's the story today. That's the story tomorrow. But notice there's a little surge of it here by late Friday. That's out ahead of the drier air that's dropping in. Once we get in lighter greens, the brown shades, that's some drier air, and that's what we'll get on Saturday. So dropping dew points all day Saturday, a beautiful afternoon on Sunday as well. A couple models trying to sneak in a little rain into central Nebraska. We'll watch to see if that trends a little farther east on Sunday, but then drier air on Monday still. And Monday's probably the day, the center of that cooler air for us anyway. And look at that dip on the muggy meter to correspond with those dew points. You got refreshing and pleasant all the way into the middle of the week before anything tries to rebound. So 82 and 80 this weekend. Clouds picking up a little bit on Sunday. And then notice Monday, 76. And the morning lows to me are the key. You get down in the 50s. That is a cool, refreshing start.
Wow.
It rebounds quickly, so if you want some of that cool air, you get that for a little bit. Several mornings, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with some of those numbers in the 50s. Low enough that we could even have a couple of 40s on the map outside the metro.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Chilly stuff.
Chilly. Okay. I don't want to go that far yet.
Not quite there.
All right, let's get a look at traffic this morning. A couple of slow spots you've been following.
You remember yesterday when we were talking about the commute and there's just a total mess everywhere?
It really was.
So thankfully it's not a total mess everywhere. We do have a couple spots that are running a little bit slow. So let's give you the first look on where that's at and what you need to be watching for as you're heading out the door. Thursday, we want a nice smooth start to the day, and it's smooth in a lot of spots. It's not exactly going to plan at the JFK right near I-80. Now this does look a little bit better than it did about 5 minutes ago. We're moving a little bit better at that ramp, but this has kind of been the pattern the last week or so. Is right about in the lead up to 7, we get some delays that stack back to about Q. It freeze up as we get to the beginning of this stream that you've been watching, and we appreciate you for doing that. And then as we get about half an hour out from this, you see those delays build back in. So it may look good right now, but be ready for it to be slow again by the time you're getting onto the JFK and joining the other commuters. This is an area that's also had some issues. 90th and Dodge, we're pretty slow right around here. We do actually have some construction in the lead up to this as you're heading north on 90th, so watch for that with some one-lane travel. And then the 680 interchange, also pretty slow. Yesterday, when you're getting eastbound between 680 and 90th, we saw things really start to grind to a halt. Some of that back to school traffic impact that we've been seeing. That's one area that I have noticed has really slowed down here over the last week or so. So keep an eye out for that. Many spots seeing the kind of yellow flickers indicating the additional traffic that's now getting on the roadways. We did just get our first crash, and actually came in as Rusty was walking from the forecast over to the couch. And it's 192nd just north of Maple. So I'm going to look a little bit more into that here in just a bit and give you the updated information on that. Do watch for that, though, if you're going to be traveling 192nd to the north of Maple.
Okay, Jared, thank you. In the meantime, new details on the breaking news we first brought you last night. The suspect in a Metro shooting, identified now as 42-year-old Monria Harrington. This happened around 6:15 last night near 30th and Ford. Omaha police tell us the victim's injuries are not considered to be life-threatening. Harrington was detained at the scene and treated for minor injuries at the hospital before being booked on assault and weapons charges. This week's announcement of the ICE Detention Center in Nebraska comes with a brand new partnership.
Now, the Nebraska State Patrol is partnering with ICE through the 287G program. Douglas County Sheriff Aaron Hansen says he supports this new holding center. However, he adds his office has no plans to join in on what the State Patrol is doing.
The Douglas County Sheriff's Office is committed to keeping our community safe, pursuing criminals that put our community at risk. And if those criminals have questionable documentation status, then we will work robustly with our partners in HSI and ICE to pursue them, arrest them, and potentially remove them from our country.
Well, he says the Sheriff's Office will only assist with criminal investigations.
Governor Jim Pillen says the Cornhusker Clink will hold minimum to low risk men for 5 to 50 days. Now, we pulled the records of 11 men there now because they were convicted felons who were caught with a gun. Others are in burglary, for DUI and drug dealing. Sentences range from 1 to 9 years. Most of them will not be out until 2029. Now to the safety desk here with Maria Kay. Maria, it is not unusual for a student to not always look forward to getting up and out of bed each and every morning to go to school.
Yeah, I know that happened for me sometimes, but if they want to avoid the classroom on a really consistent, irregular basis, experts say something else might be at play. So when that behavior becomes a pattern, that's when there could really be a problem. Experts say it could be an early sign of anxiety, depression, or a learning disability that hasn't even been diagnosed yet. Emotional distress might not look the same in kids as it does in adults. So some warning signs you want to look out for are changes in behavior, tantrums, irritability, or anger. There can also be some physical symptoms too, things like stomach aches, headaches, or nausea.
As parents, we want to often shield our kids from those difficult emotions. What happens though is if we let a child avoid, stay home from school, it actually makes the anxiety grow.
Now, experts encourage parents to sit down with your kid and then get to the root of the problem if this is one. So you want to validate what they're feeling, let them know that you understand what they're going through, and then work together, talk about it to figure out a solution.
Some great advice. Maria Kay, thank you. We're back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. We are taking a live look outside. It is a very nice start to the day. Mild temperatures with lots of sunshine. In fact, today's going to feel and look a lot like yesterday did. But we've got something else to talk about.
Yeah.
1 week from today, it is going down. Husker football.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people waking up, hitting the road
That's true.
about 1 week from right now and getting down to Kansas City and enjoying the day. So let's talk about that forecast. I think it's leaning a little on the warmer side of things. So likely topping out upper 80s, near 90. But the game's at 8 o'clock, so we should be falling back through the 80s and into the 70s by the end of the game. Now, you might see some cooler numbers in different forecasts. There's a lot when you're talking almost a week away. But if the numbers trend cooler, that's likely because there'll be more clouds and increased rain chances by this time frame. So that's what we'll be watching. Right now, I think most of the rain will still be to the west, but it could be some chances sneaking in towards the end of that game. Right now, though, you got quite a bit of sunshine, upper 60s to right around 70 degrees. Not all that bad. And satellite and radar showing us some scattered clouds in the area. Car wash forecast, it's a go for it out there today because we'll go to 91 for the afternoon high. And with that, should be able to keep the car clean today. But heading into Friday, you have some storm chances. We talked about those a little earlier, mostly after 5 o'clock. And you can see just some scattered clouds in the area around 5. We head towards 6 and 7. There's a couple of storms popping up to the north, and they'll move north to south into and through our area. 11 o'clock might be a little late for these to hang on, but it gives you a little idea of what the story is with these as they move on through. I think they could zip through a little quicker, and then we'll cool off to 82 on Saturday. Severe weather risk from those, minimal. 1 out of 5 on the scale. We'll be keeping an eye out for the wind and the hail risk from these overall after 5 o'clock. Could have a couple of storms with a little wind, a couple of storms with some larger hail as well. Not for everybody, but that's what the strongest storms will try to do. That ushers in the cooler air. 82, a little bit of a north breeze on Saturday, could gust to 25 miles per hour, then 80 on Sunday, and 76 degrees on Monday. That is some phenomenal weather as we head into the final week of August.
All right, that's 76 trend. That looks really nice, but is that going to continue throughout next week?
It does look like we got another day that might struggle to get out of the 70s. Tuesday looking like that. Morning lows in the 50s too. And then we do rebound towards the end of next week with some highs in the 80s. You see we have 84 here in Omaha. So it's going to be warmer in Kansas City most likely by Thursday of next week. And there's that dip in the muggy meter. That's what's driving this really comfortable air. And we're down in the pleasant and refreshing range over the course of this stretch. And the low temperatures to me are one of the best parts of this because that'll dip down into the 50s. You can want a little refreshing air in the house before it starts to warm up a little bit into the afternoon, but looking pretty good there for those morning lows. And afternoon highs early next week. That will be the talk by Sunday and Monday.
It's going to be so very nice.
Can't wait to give the air conditioner a break. My electric bill will get help.
All of that. All of that.
Yep.
All right, while you're talking, let's get the latest on that traffic. You know more about that accident at 192nd.
Yeah, it's at the intersection with Sailor is where we're talking about. So a little bit to the north of Maple. And we could take a look at the maps and show you some of the delays that are building in this area. You can see both to the south and to the north of this, things are not moving very well on 192nd. So this is probably an area that you try to avoid if you can. This off to the north of Maple is where we're looking at this. So there's the intersection with the crash. So I'll continue to monitor that, but it does look like we're seeing some impacts for anyone who would be traveling that stretch. Another thing I've been watching throughout the morning is some of the fog that we've been seeing. It's not nearly as widespread as what we've had over the last couple of mornings, but we do have some pockets that are being impacted. And check out Harlan. You're right near 0 for the visibility at the moment. As you're getting into the Les Hills, that's where you're seeing a little bit more of it. In the metro, we've actually largely avoided really getting that fog to develop. So that's good news. That helps out how things are going to be moving as we're heading through the morning. It's mainly going to be just watching and seeing how some of our different zones where we have construction ongoing that have had persistent slowdowns handle the workload this morning, because yesterday it was a nightmare. This map had red, orange splotches all over it as we're going over the next half hour or to an hour. Right now, we've just got center a little bit slow. We've got 370 as you're heading westbound, roughly around 60th to 72nd, a little bit slow. And then some of Gretna is showing some signs of some delays. But you can see that mostly we're off to a pretty smooth start. And I'm hoping that we can hold on to that here as we make our way through the rest of the morning. Of course, we'll keep you posted on that. And any developments with that crash, I'll continue to forward those.
All right, Jared, thank you. The woman arrested in connection to the death of a vulnerable adult this year has now been charged with involuntary manslaughter.
That's right. Nikki Budlong's bond was set at $300,000. Back in February, investigators were called to this home near 26th and Arbor. We got an exclusive look inside the house and the conditions the victims are living in. That is where they found the body of 67-year-old Kathy Snyder.
According to medical examiners, she died of starvation and other medical issues. The Douglas County attorney spoke with us about this investigation.
Is terrible. It's kind of beyond belief that people would be forced to live in the kind of squalor that they were living in that house, that she was supposed to be the caregiver of them. Photos in and of itself really tell the story of the inside of that house.
Budlong's preliminary hearing is set for next month.
Well, coming up, one of the best parts about fall is the drinks.
Taking a closer look at the one popular fall menu that's just been released when we come back. Well, researchers now know how many giraffe species there are in Africa.
Yeah, a new scientific analysis just released today has quadrupled the count, in fact. Before, all giraffes across the continent were thought to be a single species. Well, that's not true. New data and genetic studies now has the mammals separated into 4 groups. They are northern, southern, reticulated, and Maasai. Researchers say each species has different population sizes, threats, and conservation needs.
Wow. Interesting.
Learn something new every day.
What we have at our zoo.
Yeah. Well, Dunkin' Donuts has released its fall menu.
All right, people get excited about this. It includes some fan favorites as well as a couple of new items. There's Mixed Berry Daydream Refresher, which is another collab with, of course, Sabrina Carpenter.
I like her.
There's also the new cereal and milk latte, and pumpkins-based items include the new iced pumpkin loaf and the returning pumpkin donuts and the munchkins.
Oh, you know, I already got my pumpkin coffee yesterday.
No kidding?
Did you? Yes, I did. It was perfect.
She's like
pumpkin
Dunkin'?
spice gal.
Yes.
For being On the
East
east,
Coaster,
yeah,
yes.
that-
We only had Dunkin' in my hometown, so that's
Okay.
what I'm used to.
Gotcha.
But I also think that Dunkin' is better than Dunkin's pumpkin is better than Starbucks pumpkin.
Really?
Yes.
There you go, Dunkin' Pumpkin.
have to
That's
try
the
it.
verdict. That's
Okay, I'll have
my
to try
decision.
it.
Yes.
I'm a little bit newer to Dunkin' because it's been a newer
yeah.
thing. It's kind of trickled out west. So I'll get on board though.
You have
What'd
to
you
try
say?
the pumpkin.
Maybe 10 years we've had them in Omaha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been very
very
long.
new.
I've got one very close to my house, so I have to give the pumpkin a try.
Well, you'll have to try. They have a drink. It's called the Nutty Pumpkin. If
Oh.
you don't like the super sweet pumpkin, they mix hazelnut and pumpkin. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
half pumpkin, half hazelnut.
Oh.
That is so good.
Really?
Are you getting paid? Are you getting paid to say that? Are you a sponsor?
What else should we try? Did you have the loaf yet?
No, I didn't try that.
Oh, okay.
Just the iced coffee, but
Okay.
try the Nutty Pumpkin after you get the iced coffee if you want to get a little adventurous.
Okay. Well, we have our pumpkin spice expert, Maria. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us here on First Alert 6. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. You can watch it here on streaming or over the air.
Have a great start to your Thursday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Thursday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. A new crash to first alert you. We'll get right to that with meteorologist Jarrett Lansford.
This one just came in. It is 48 in Cornhusker, where you're looking at some slow travel just near that intersection on Cornhusker. Watch for that. Be ready for possible delays as you're heading into that area. Unfortunately, not the only crash we have. We have one on 192nd. That's just to the north of Maple at the intersection with Sailor, where we're seeing some delays. So watch for these kind of things, delays that are associated with them here early this morning. We're also seeing significant delays starting to show up on 370 near I-80 and Dodge, a crawl as you're heading eastbound toward 144th. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. Out there right now, beautiful sunshine as we start off. It's a little muggy, but you can see there's not that much in the way of fog like the last couple of mornings, so that's some good news. Right around 70 degrees, been here for the last several hours, haven't moved a ton, and that's the same story within the metro, upper 60s to right near 70 degrees in a few spots. From this point on, though, we will start to warm. Dew points are a little lower today, down in the muggy range. We were up here yesterday, so that's a little better feel to the day, and that'll translate as we go to about 91 for the afternoon high under the mostly sunny skies. Heat index gets up into the mid-90s for an afternoon high, so watch for that. Still going to feel hot, still going to feel humid. 93 on Friday, some storm chances after 5 o'clock Friday evening. Heads up for those. A couple of those could be a little stronger, so we'll be monitoring that as we go through the course of the next 48 hours. Then a cooler 82 by Saturday. Aaron?
Breaking news we are following. Council Bluffs police arresting 4 suspects in connection to hundreds of thefts from metro area cemeteries. 4 other suspects still at large this morning. If you have any information on these people's whereabouts, call 911 or Council Bluffs Crime Stoppers.
It is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.